live from Houston with Ernesto Verdugo, and live from Dubai with Dave Crane. You're watching the Toilet Paper Diaries. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Hey, Dave.
Hello, Ernesto. How are you?
I am doing great. Very excited because I've been receiving so many confirmations for tomorrow's show, which is going to be a very special show. We're going to go 30. That means that we have had 30 uninterrupted broadcasts of the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Fantastic. I can't wait. So many stars, so many well-known speakers, so many big internet marketers, so many people that are change makers and influencers. It's really important because it's a big contribution to share just how big the network's growing around the world, and also give the people who are watching an opportunity to connect with these people too.
Absolutely. So make sure to watch the tomorrow's episode, which is going to be called The Gift. And you're going to really enjoy it. But today we also have a very powerful episode, which is going to be on cybersecurity and identity theft and everything which is happening right now while we are in quarantine. Just think about it. We have been working on protected environments in our office. And then suddenly we have to go back home, and the protection that we have at home is not exactly the protection that we possibly might have in our office. And right now, sadly, there's a lot of cybercrime taking place. So we're having a superstar on the show, and I think you're going to be learning quite a lot. This is a perfect lead off for what we're going to be showing right now. I mean, right now, people are concerned about the virus, but I think they should also have another concern, which is having their identities or having their social security or having their bank accounts lost or stolen. And this is just a great way to start. So, Dave, can you introduce our guest?
It'd be my utter pleasure to introduce to you a very dear friend of mine and Ernesto's. We've known him for about 2-3 years. And by far, he's the best expert I've seen on cybersecurity. He works with companies all around the world. He's one of the most renowned speakers on the subject. You'll have seen him making reports from supermarkets from Sugarland in Texas. But his real subject matter is about to share with us about cybercrime and how to protect you as your business goes online. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Frank Mulcahy. Frank, or Uncle Frank, as I get to call you. Are you there?
Oh, hey, it's always a pleasure to join you two guys. Everything is great here in Houston, and looking forward to maybe blessing some people with some valuable information.
Fantastic.
That is great, Frank. I've been aware of the topic of identity theft already for a while. I watched a movie that is called, and actually you can watch it also there in YouTube. It's called Identity Thief, which is from 2013, which is actually quite old. And you can see, in a Hollywood kind of way, you can see what happens when your identity is stolen. It's not a blockbuster, but it's actually a nice, pastime movie that you can watch right now. But what I find incredibly interesting, because I was doing some research for today's episode, and one of the things that I find incredibly interesting, and I actually mentioned it to you, Frank, yesterday when we were on the phone, most of the stuff that you can find on YouTube, most of the stuff that you can find online, it's already 8 to 10 years old on cybersecurity. In fact, some of the videos that we have prepared for you today, they are already 4 or 5 years old. And the reason why that is because there's no other new stuff that I would like to show you. But Correct. What I like about Frank is that he is really up to date. I mean, I haven't met anybody which is so up to date in this topic as Frank Mulcahy. So, Frank, can you first of all explain to us what exactly is identity theft for everybody to understand?
Well, and very quickly, identity theft is not about your credit cards. It's about your complete digital DNA, Ernesto. As I travel around the country and in the world, I start talking to people. When you become a victim of identity theft, it can be character criminal, medical, Social Security, IRS, your professional licenses, security clearances, your Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. It's complete impersonation, and it can devastate you and devastate your children as well. So people have to look at identity theft as way beyond financial.
That's just crazy. And for example, what is exactly? I mean, what are the different things on how your identity could be stolen?
Well, one of the major ways is that basically people click on the wrong links, they open the wrong emails, they use poor password management. Everybody uses their favorite dog or sports team or pet. When on the other hand, on the web, there's lots and lots of really great password management systems. It's kind of like having your own vault where you have one password to get into the vault, into your safe. And then once you go in there, when you go to a Facebook or a Netflix or Bank of America or the IRS, it automatically populates encryption-grade passwords that cannot be taken. That's a great thing for people to consider, those kinds of preventive measures. And there's many more. There's many more.
Right now, with people on lockdown, they're ordering food, they're doing business, they're connecting, they're surfing, they're doing the things that they would never normally do because they'd always be doing it face to face. So most people aren't prepared for the massive onslaught of hackers who are there rubbing their hands together going, it's open season, where should we go and who should we hack first? That's really happening now, isn't it?
Matter of fact, the hackers are getting up early and they're staying up late at night as well. But with technology, it's so easy that, most people, when we're in our corporate environment, we have the corporate IT department looking out for our connections. But when we're at home, people are making really fundamental mistakes. They're getting online and maybe they're mixing their laptop with their corporate work. They're doing personal on corporate work, and they shouldn't. They're leaving the computers turned on and when they're not attended. And imagine if they got some teenage kids and other children come in. Mom went off to do a couple errands, and now they're in mom's work computer. Or they don't. Dave, one of the things they don't do is they don't secure their routers, and they don't use VPNs. And that opens them up to some really horrific things like war driving.
What's war driving?
War driving is when somebody gets a simple laptop, free software off the internet, a little 3-inch antenna, and they get in their automobile and they can go through the strip center at the mall and pick up all of the open Wi-Fi for the businesses, or they can go through the neighborhood and they can see who has encryption, who doesn't have encryption, and it even tells us what kind of encryption they have. And then we go to Google and we type in how to crack web, how to crack WPA, WPA2, and within 3 or 4 minutes, literally you can crack into probably 80% of the houses in your neighborhood because of the lack of software.
Yeah, this is just insane. In fact, I have actually seen cars driving very slowly back and forth, that you see them passing by a couple of times close to your house. Most likely possibly they're doing patrolling or surveying, whatever it is, and you do not know which side of the coin they are, if they're good people or they're bad people. But this is actually very scary. In fact, we have a video from you that you shared with us, Frank, and it is from 2013. But anyway, the information is incredibly valuable. Have a look.
Chris O'Farrell may look tough, and he is on what's called a war drive. But his weapon is just a laptop computer, and he's one of the good guys.
There's another one, see?
War driving is what computer geeks call it when they cruise a neighborhood looking for unprotected wireless networks.
They don't realize how wide open all their stuff is on their computers. It's really scary.
O'Farrell is chief security officer at NetSec, a technology firm that protects big government and corporate clients. He says many home wireless users have done nothing to secure their systems.
It's the same as basically printing out every bit of critical information on your computer in paper format and sitting it on your front porch, waiting for somebody to take it.
O'Farrell doesn't have a fancy antenna on his truck, just an inexpensive laptop with a regular card reader. Still, within minutes, we spied 40 wireless networks in this sleepy suburban neighborhood. 16 of those networks were still using the wireless manufacturer's default ID and password. The owners hadn't bothered to choose secret codes of their own.
Okay, so this one is somebody's. It's wide open to the world.
22 of the 40 households hadn't turned on their wireless encryption systems. That means information traveling from, say, your computer over to your printer isn't scrambled. Anybody can come along and grab it out of the air.
I like to call that the steel door grass hut mentality. You know, you have this big steel door that all this front-end security from the internet, but it's like a grass hut with all these holes around it because they put in these wireless access points.
There are several layers of harm. Neighbors can accidentally hook up to your network and dilute your signal strength. And malicious strangers can purposely connect to your network and use it for criminal hacking.
When they track it back to the IP address, it's going to be your home.
And of course, bad guys and voyeurs can use your own wireless system to spy on you. Chris showed us how. Using basic Microsoft functions and free programs from the internet, he gained access to private banking files on a test computer. The entire process took just a couple of minutes.
And you can actually export their entire workspace on your computer. You can watch their mouse move. You can watch what they click. You can even turn on the mic. You can listen to what's going on in there. You can do anything. You've totally taken over their systems.
So you see, he looks tough. But wireless computer networks make him powerful. Just be glad Chris O'Farrell is on your side.
Well, here's the thing, Frank. Every single organization you connect with forces you to connect with them and hand over every bit of information that you have. Otherwise, they won't do business with you. And you have no idea, and you can't even ask anybody because the people in front of you don't know how secure they are with your data. And so all the time you're giving it out to everybody. I went on today to order some food and I said, send us your credit card details. Well, I don't want to hand over cash. I'd much prefer to do it by banking. But the minute I've given them, I'm thinking that could go anywhere. How do I know they've got a secure gateway? And that must be happening right across the world to billions of people.
It is. And a very, very simple solution to it is to get a VPN, a virtual private network. All of the large corporations use them. Individuals should use them. But one of the things they do, Dave, is they look for the inexpensive alternative. I'll give you an example. There's one VPN service, it was called Super VPN. Google pulled it off the Play Store a month ago because they're using it to perpetrate crime. And so people have to be careful because you get what you pay for. If you want a free VPN, there's a reason that it's free. And so, but if people will install a VPN, it'll secure all that connection.
So what you're saying is that you go to one of these apps that it's supposed to give you a free VPN. And then these VPN, people think that they are protected, but in reality, that's exactly the tool that the hackers require to go and take all your security. That's what you're saying.
Well, what's happening, Ernesto, is that small companies that don't have a lot of capital, don't have a lot of manpower and skill, they're going out and they're using one generic key in the coding. And once the hackers know what that key is, the hackers can literally take over control. And the people that wrote the app, because maybe they're beginners or first timers or they're just trying to do it for free, they're actually opening people up to a false sense of security. So you got to make sure you know who you're doing business with. It's so fundamental. But in these tough times, we're worried about everything else. We take for granted that our internet connection will be safe, and it's not.
So let's go on to a slightly different area, which is when you do go to these companies, like, for instance, social media platforms, and they take all your information, we already know that big data is being abused, and it's something that sometimes governments say they're going to clamp down on, but quite clearly they're not doing it all the time. How can we be careful about what we give out and also protect ourselves? Because you can't connect with half the services you need unless you hand over the keys to the kingdom.
Well, for instance, with the VPN, Dave, as we travel around the world, some countries don't want you to access certain sites. With a VPN, you can actually access those sites, because once it leaves your handheld or your desktop or your laptop, it's encrypted until it gets to the other end where it becomes de-encrypted. So they don't know where we went. They're not able to track us where we're going. So that's one way. And, with dissidents and political unrest, military, large corporations, they all know this and they have that. Well, we as regular common citizens should also understand that and give out limited information, get a secured password management system, become cyber aware, cybersecurity, understand what you're clicking on, because it could be your financial life is what it could be.
Yeah, we have a video about VPNs because it's something that I don't think that many people understand. I mean, I believe that right now, the fact that we're actually living in isolation, we're living in protected from the outside environment because of the virus. People come over here, start working, and then suddenly they are basically exposed, or in other words, naked, because of course suddenly people can actually start getting all their stuff, and that's why a VPN is very important. Now, the video that you shared with me, I mean, it's from Kim Commando. I remember the first time that I heard about Kim Commando was 1993 or 1994. She had these tools where she was actually teaching how to do computers, and I haven't heard from her for a long time. But it's a very valid video on VPNs. Shall we have a look?
All right, it's time now for our DIY security tip of the week, and every week we put one of these together for you. This week it's all about VPNs, virtual private networks, how you can use the internet safely and securely and not worry about hackers stealing your credentials. I mean, I've been talking about VPNs for many years. And so in this DIY security tip, we're going to talk about ExpressVPN, but also your other free options that come with your operating systems. But first, let's talk about VPNs and how they actually work. It's a layer of protection between your devices and the internet. It hides your IP address and your location. It encrypts your data after it leaves your device and travels to whatever website you're visiting. Most importantly, when you're at home or at work and you're using public Wi-Fi, you need a VPN because it gives you that extra layer of security. So what do you look for in a VPN? Here are some of the traits. You want to browse anonymously. You want to unblock websites, especially when you're traveling. This is really important. You want to hide your IP address. You also want a VPN that doesn't have data caps, unlimited streaming. You want to be able to use this VPN across multiple devices, regardless of your operating system. It should have no data harvesting, a 24-hour chat helpline. It should be really fast. A lot of the older VPNs, I know what you're thinking. They were so slow. Not anymore. It has to be super easy to set up, super easy to use. So when you have all of these different features that you want in a VPN, Windows and Mac, they do have some built-in VPNs. Okay, they're okay, but they're not as good as ExpressVPN. I mean, I've tried them all. But in this DIY security tip, I'm going to walk you through how to set up a VPN on your Windows machine, how to set it up on your Mac machine. And if you're interested, you can watch a little video about ExpressVPN, and then we also teach you how to set that one up.
Kim Commando, fantastic.
The digital goddess.
Must be. I'm surprised we're not seeing you on that show as well, though, Frank. You're a legend too. It's only a matter of time. Get a wig. It'd be fantastic. So one of the things is, when it comes to creating the awareness of it, somebody like yourself has got a great reputation. You've been around, you've been doing it, and people flock to you as an authority. But there are not enough good authorities out there. Something like, before the pandemic hit, cybersecurity experts was the most sought after job. because there weren't enough people to fill the job. Sorry, most sought after category because they couldn't get enough people to do those jobs around America. There's not enough experts. Why is that?
It's because people look at the internet as mainstream. And we think that the large providers like McAfee and Microsoft and everybody else are going to take care of us when they don't. And you know, in the space of cybersecurity, when it comes to setting up the networks, running the software, that's a whole different realm. What's sorely needed in the marketplace worldwide, Dave, as we travel around the world, is cybersecurity awareness trainers. People that can go out and share what's happening in the real world and not just go out there like they're talking with a white paper dissertation, but touch the people so that they understand the health harming and the financial harming and the disruption in their lives, that not understanding how to develop a culture of security is my message. They're going to fall victim to it. And yet it's so simple that, you know, I started studying it 12 years ago, but I was a mortgage banker. But anybody today, with all the courses out there and some guidance and coaching, they can be in this space and filling that void in 90 days.
Very interesting. I will come back to rapid fire questions for you, but let me just right now say hello to Colonel Keith Kalman, which is just letting us know that Frank is right on target. We have also Amit Prakash all the way from India. We have Carola Groenenbaum all the way from the Netherlands. We have Tracy Zimmerman also letting us know how important it is to actually bring this subject to the show. And I'm gonna go now, Frank, in rapid fire questions. So you have a quote that I have heard you saying many times, and I love it because it's so powerful, and you need to listen to it.
It's not a matter of if you're going to be hacked. It's not a matter of when you're going to be hacked. It's now a matter of how many times will we be hacked? How many times will we fall victim to these predators? Because it is so financially rewarding to them, Ernesto, if we just click on one wrong link, just one. That's all it takes.
Yeah. Okay. 30 seconds. What is phishing, vishing, whaling?
All right. So phishing is, according to Bill Gates, he just said it last week, 91% of cybersecurity attacks start with phishing. Now, phishing is when somebody sends out mass emails and they only need a couple people to click on it, the wrong link, the wrong password, and they're in the system. Smishing is coming through text instead of email, because more and more people will answer a text than an email. And then vishing is where they use the email and they use the text and they combine it with voice impersonation and voice to say, listen, we are with the IRS, your stimulus check is held. So you got all these new technologies where they're taking all the communication platforms to come back. And again, it's about awareness. And if we understand these things, we can prevent them.
And right now, because of course we're socially distancing, there's another one that starts with social. It's another crime that starts with social. Can you talk about that one?
Social engineering.
Yeah.
So social engineering is where it's the old con man. Remember from the 1900s, they called it the con man, but that stands for confidence man. Somebody's trying to get into your network, into your life, whether it's personal, a business, or you're a volunteer, and they're using the curiosity, they're using the compassion, they're using the caring that people have, and they're getting people to fall for it. Seniors, tremendous risk. People that are unemployed, 22 million in the United States today. They're looking for a lifeline. They're going to fall for these scams. That's social engineering, where they're finding a way to get into our psyche or our family psyche, and that's what they're doing. Huge, huge field of study.
I get phone calls every 2 days of people saying, I'd like to do a survey about finances. And I have to say no, because I want nothing to do with them. If you do have a chat with them, then the next thing is, right, that's fantastic. So what's your name then? And you're thinking, but you knew my name, you called me, but it's not. It's really dodgy, and that's everywhere. And there's some very well-trained people sounding really friendly, like insurance salesmen, who just get in with this, and it's happening all the time.
Dave, I was at a conference last year, and they did a demo live in the conference center in Los Angeles, and they actually had an actress with sound recordings with a baby crying in the background and a dog barking and the doorbell ringing. And she showed the reporter within 90 seconds. She called the cell phone provider and explained that the husband's out of town and the baby's crying and the doorbell's ringing. And she convinced them not only to add her to the account, but to change the account security software that only she had access to it. 90 seconds. And that's where we combined the voice with the heartfelt, and there were recordings of the dog, recordings of the baby crying. There weren't no babies, there were no dogs. They're at the LA Convention Center. But this is what people fall for, especially when COVID has people torn in so many other directions, and they're so curious and they're looking at it. If you want to know, go to the Center for Disease Control. If you want to know, go to the World Health Organization. But in closing, there's not a bank, a credit union, a mortgage company, a finance company, or a federal government that's going to call you and ask you to verify stuff on the phone. It doesn't happen. They know they're not supposed to, but yet we fall for it all the time. So just become more aware. Look at some of the videos that I posted out there. I'm posting a whole lot more about that awareness training that they can have.
Yeah, by the way, I think it's great if you actually go to YouTube and you just write down Frank Mulcahy, and you can find, I think they are the most up-to-date and the most compelling videos that you can actually find on this topic. Another set of rapid fire very quickly. Right now, we know that we have a lot of people which are vulnerable at home. How can they protect themselves? Give us some tips.
Well, be aware of cybersecurity. Don't just look at it, okay, it happened, it's going to happen to somebody else. No, it's going to happen to us. Keep all of your software updated. Keep all of the patches updated. Make sure you're using what's called double authentication, so that when I log off my computer and I log back in, I have double authentication. It's so much stronger than anything else out there, and it's very easy to have. Avoid public Wi-Fis. Avoid charging your phone in a public arena, like at an airport or at a coffee shop, because they have what's called juice jacking. We plug our device in to charge it. No, it's being hijacked. I mean, I was at the Firestone car dealership, tire dealership last month, and they had one shaped like a battery. They didn't even know it was in their shop. Somebody put it there. Another thing is, again, log off on all your devices when you walk away. Just log off, shut them down, and install antivirus software on your mobile devices. Ernesto, I find that 90% of the people I lecture to when I go out on the circuit do not have antivirus software on their mobile devices, but yet 70% of all page views on the internet are on a mobile handheld device. And there's some great software out there that people can get. It's free. They have a paid version, but the free version is really robust. But when somebody gets into our cell phones, our mobile devices, they can hear all our calls, they can read our text, they can track us on GPS. Get antivirus software on your mobile devices.
Now I looked at my phone and I said, crap, I don't have it. So tell me which one it is.
A really good one that I recommend that I have is called Lookout. One word, Lookout, Lookout. If you've got an iPhone 7 or above, or an Android 7 or above, it's probably preloaded on there. You just have to activate it. But look at, there's several out there, but I use Lookout, and that way it tells me if I'm going to a bad site, if it's a suspicious site, it tells me how many intrusions tried to happen on me, and it makes me more aware because I'm looking at it. So I don't go to places that that I don't fall for that social engineering like everybody else.
Most people are considering where they're going to go next with their business. A lot of people are very scared. A lot of people are trying to convert their business to an online version as we speak because they don't know how long they're going to be in lockdown. Now, what are the key areas people should consider? If you're thinking about starting a business online, you have probably got no idea about security because you're not a corporate. What can people do from the point of view of a small business to protect themselves and also protect the data of the people they're connecting with?
With small businesses, I do a lot of consulting with small businesses, Dave, all around the world, and I go in and again, it's the core is if we're aware of danger, we can avoid danger. But if we don't get out there and talk about it, put it on the table, let the employees understand it, they're going to fall victim. And so many small businesses today, Dave, they may not make it after this long period of shutdown. They're gonna scrape like heck to try to stay in business. One cybersecurity error can cost them. So it's cybersecurity awareness training for these individuals, and anybody can learn this business in if they're dedicated in 90 days or less, and make a huge difference. And in my business, I sent you a video a bit ago. After COVID hit, I took a little sabbatical, and I said, okay, I transitioned my business in 24 hours from offline to online, and I picked up a whole new era, Dave, because I do a lot of corporations and chemical plants and school districts, hospitals, but now I've opened up a complete B2C market, virtual online, just by sharing this kind of information.
And also, why is it, Frank, that people are so badly informed about it? Why is it that we don't have more information out there? Because it's prevalent, but people just don't seem to know. We just don't think about it. They think we're going to be okay, and clearly we're not.
No, it's people are too casual and callous and cavalier about how they go online because they've become accustomed to the internet. Many of our millennials, they grew up with handheld devices. My generation, we're a little bit more cautious. Ronald Reagan, the great statesman, Ronald Reagan, he said, trust, but verify, right? Trust, but verify. And that's what I ask people to do. Understand this technology that you're using. And here's one of two things that can happen, Dave. You can use this technology, or this technology can use you. And you got the choice. Use it to grow your business. Use it to launch a new career. Use it to bless other people, or sit and fall victim and say, oh, if only I knew. Listen, the information's there.
For me, it's about social media. Social media right now, everyone's going bonkers. They're going on every social media platform. Is there a danger going on a platform of their information flying around when you're surfing, watching videos and so on?
Yeah, there is. And again, if you're watching the videos and you have the proper software, it's going to tell you don't want to go there and watch that video. It's going to tell you don't want to go there and click on that link. What I try to tell people is be careful of the information you have out there. Like Zoom, we got what's called Zoom bombing now. People are all getting on Zoom and they're letting people in without registering, and you don't know who they are, and then all of a sudden they're taking over your Zoom and causing you all kinds of problems. They all can be avoided. If people just say, I understand that I need to study the internet just a little bit to provide safety for my family and my business. And they can go on LinkedIn, they can go on Pinterest, they can go on Twitter, but they can go with an air of caution. Go with, let me close this. I said to a group of seniors, I said, LinkedIn and Facebook is not a popularity contest as to how many people can get on your network. I said, a good indicator for you is if you would invite them to go to church with you and then come to your home for Sunday dinner, you might want them as your friends on Facebook. Other than that, be careful of who you put on your Facebook.
It is absolutely fascinating information, Frank. We are running out of time, so we have to wrap it up. But there's a couple of things that I want to mention. First of all, I think you mentioned something very important. If you believe this information, spreading this information would be very valuable, you can also even make a career from you. And Frank can actually let you know how that can be done. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you contact Frank, let them know that you watched him in the Toilet Paper Diaries, and he will be happy to give you some information about how you can benefit and make money by spreading the information about how to protect yourself. Frank, you have your digital business card. Where is it?
Call Frank.today, and they can hook on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and WhatsApp, and just call Frank.today and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because I'm loading probably another 30 videos out there over the next 30 days as I see all the hot topics. They'll be posted, and you'll be alerted as long as you subscribe.
That's awesome. And let me just once again share for all of you our page for downloading the audio version of these shows. It's in bit.ly Toilet Paper Podcast. Make sure to watch the show tomorrow, because tomorrow, Dave, we are having a very, very nice special show, which is called The Gift. So just to close the program, Frank, thank you very much for having us here. Dave, can you say some nice words about what we are covering tomorrow on the show, so that we can actually get people interested in watching this show tomorrow?
Absolutely. I'm going to feel like it's empty without Frank, but we do have a number of people who are going to be joining us after the 30th episode. It will be the 30th episode of being the Toilet Paper Diaries, and from all around the world, influencers, speakers, technology experts, life coaches, some of the best people on stages and podiums from all around the world who've been connected to us for the last 20, 30 years will all be calling in and just sharing with us the gift that they got from being in the lockdown. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be profound. It's going to be very touching, and I can't wait for it. Plus, also, we'll be sharing with you the gift that we'll be sharing with you as well. So it's going to be an action-packed show. Do not miss it. Don't turn up late. We're going out live from 12 o'clock lunchtime, Houston, and also from 9 o'clock on an evening from Dubai. And it's always a pleasure to have you with us on the Toilet Paper Diaries.
Absolutely. This has been Ernesto Verdugo,
Dave Crane, and
Frank Mulcahy.
Awesome. See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.